Hey, welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. With the recent release of the movie X-Men Apocalypse, I wanted to spend some time talking about two really awesome and popular arcade games that really brought the X-Men into the gaming world and were actually made it really popular. And as you can see, the very first one is the X-Men arcade game. Now, this game was made by Konami. It's a multiplayer, four-player game, and it is, in a word, just awesome. When I first saw this, I was just like, wow, it's the X-Men. And it's a lot more fun when you have multiplayer, but here you could choose from Cyclops, Colossus, Wolverine, Storm. Well, if you are the second or third or fourth player, you could choose Storm, Nightcrawler, or Dazzler. I'm just gonna go with Colossus. Everybody usually chooses Wolverine, and as you can see, the graphics here, classic Konami, they are awesome. And so from this story, it shows that Magneto and the Sentinels are basically attacking the city, and it's up to, as you guessed it, the X-Men to come and stop Magneto from taking over. And the cool thing is, this game did a really good job of integrating the comic books with awesome gameplay and graphics. And if you probably noticed, the graphics look really similar to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because I think they used the same graphics engine at the time. So that was a really popular engine that they used. So, and it's real simple, because it's just like, basically it's just two buttons. You punch, and then if you press both buttons together, they have a very special power move, which does take away the energy. It actually has three buttons. I can't do it here because I don't have the third button available, but you get the idea. And it was a very easy game, but what I like about it is, Konami adds a lot of little touches that they didn't need to. I mean, for example, the actual storyline, they have the Sentinels and Magneto. They could have just thrown anything on there, but they put that in there, and it's relevant because Magneto is definitely a supervillain in the Marvel Universe, and so were the Sentinels. And as anybody who remembered, who watched the X-Men First Class, it was Magneto and controlling the Sentinels in the end. So that's very similar to this particular storyline here. And I really enjoyed this game in terms of, like, it's very easy to pick up, it's very fun to play, and if you are a comic book fan, this played a lot of fan service to it as well. And whenever you played this in the arcades, some of them had a real wide screen, and so whenever you're playing multiplayer on this very wide screen, it just looked really different, in terms of, like, you could see everything. This was very similar to the other game I did a review about, Ninja Warrior. It used like a really wide screen as well, but that was a dual screen setup. And as you could see here, as you get further into the game, Konami did a great job of integrating a lot of other characters into this particular game, and you'll see here in a moment. They, like, not only put in the actual heroes, but also a lot of villains as well. And if you're just thinking about, like, actual gameplay, it's just like basically like Final Fight, in my opinion. So I think Final Fight came out a little bit before both Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and this game. So beat 'em ups were really all the rage back then, but there was nothing quite like the X-Men, except for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But that was done by Konami anyway. And the stages, they're fairly long. So they weren't short stages. And I like the fact that going back to the graphics, they're huge, and they're very detailed sprites. And as you can see, there's lots of recyclings of the same characters, but the action is so intense. I love the animation as well. You didn't really notice it, and that was a good thing, because you were too busy beating down all these enemies. And I'm going to try to get to the end of the first stage. And as you can see, I've been playing this for a while, and it's taken a while to get to the end of the stage, which is nice. So there's a lot of replay value in here as well. Oh. And, there were definitely other games, X-Men games, after this one, in terms of, like, they saw the success of this. And so, they were like Genesis games. They weren't actually like this, they weren't like a side-scrolling action. No, they're more like action RPG games. I remember the one on the Genesis. That's pretty popular. And here's Pyro, the very first boss. And much like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they played a lot of fan service to people who were fans of the comic book. and so they would be instantly familiar with this if they read any of the comics. Yeah. And the difficulty is, I say it's not high. I mean, if you have a lot of quarters, it's not hard to get through this game. But at the same time, like I said, the levels are so long that you're going to be playing a long time, which is great. I mean, they varied this quite a bit in terms of the level design, the structure, and also the enemies. So no stage really looks alike at all. And each stage has its own unique boss. And so, yeah, and that's the mutant power that I'll talk about and see. Now this stage right here, it looks just like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the very first stage where they're in a burning building. But yeah, so that's X-Men the Arcade. Awesome game, really fun. I think this one, in my opinion, this one really started the whole X-Men craze in the arcades. Okay, so the second X-Men arcade game I want to talk about, it also set the standard for the X-Men, but in a different way. With the X-Men arcade game, that pretty much set the standard for side-scrolling action beat-em-ups. But this one right here, it really pushed the X-Men into a whole nother level. And as you could probably tell, what I'm talking about is Marvel versus Capcom. This game was insane. This was like genius in my opinion. You're putting together Street Fighter characters with X-Men. I mean, with Marvel characters. I just couldn't believe this was happening. And when you played it, and it's really hard to play this with the digital control, so I'm probably going to do pretty bad. But when you played this, you just could not believe your eyes. I mean, the animation in this was absolutely amazing. I've never seen anything look this good, in my opinion, when it came out. And the fact that you got to play your favorite characters, both Street Fighter and Marvel, that was crazy. And, that's never been done before. They've never had a crossover like this. And obviously this has paid dividends because, the Marvel Versus series is still extremely popular to this day. And I don't really know where to go with this. I mean, it was just amazing. I could still play this right now and have an extremely fun time. And let me see, where do I begin with what I like about this, besides what I just talked about? Well, I love the actual fighting style. This is Street Fighter through and through, but it's exaggerated Street Fighter. And so you have really wacky, crazy combos. You have specials that you can use. And it also has the team elements of a game like King of Fighters, where you could bring him in anytime. And that really just made it so much fun because depending on who you like, you could mix and match characters and use their different powers and abilities, which is really awesome. So it really made the gameplay even deeper than even Street Fighter, I would say, because it still is Street Fighter, but with all these other elements. And because they exaggerated everything just looked cooler. The fireball was bigger, the specials were insane, and the difficulty level was definitely there. I mean, if you were good at Street Fighter, then, you'd probably definitely be good here. But if not, you could still just pick it up and just mash it, just mash the buttons and you'd still have a good time. And there's the special right there, Dan, of course. And another thing I really like about this game, in terms of what some things that Capcom did with the graphics, they did a lot of fan servicey stuff. If you look in the background, there's pictures of Captain America, Ryu on that screen, and also Ken. And also, if you look real closely, there's other Marvel characters and Capcom characters in the back too. I think I saw Jameson back there a little bit earlier on that background. That's pretty cool. And this game was really, really fast-paced. And I remember when I played this that it was hard to even get to play it because there were so many people waiting in line to play this game. I'm gonna go ahead and go with Wolverine here, and I don't know, this thing, like, it just made fighting games way different, And then, nowadays we're kind of used to crossovers of many type of genres, but I would definitely say Marvel versus Capcom right here. This really, really put it to another level, and in my opinion, I actually enjoyed the Marvel vs. Capcom series. Whenever this came out and the rest of the games afterwards, I enjoyed this more than I did Street Fighter, as a matter of fact. And that's That's saying a lot, but this was just more fun. It was just more fun. It was more crazy, but it also had all the classic Street Fighter elements that we've grown to love. You could really get skilled on characters, and they had a lot of characters. And as you know, future Marvel versus Capcom games got even crazier. So that's about it for this X-Men arcade game episode. If you had a favorite X-Men game that you played, whether it's in arcade or on the home consoles, leave them below. And also, don't forget that I am on Snapchat. And so if you have some questions, you could also send me a snap. And if it's something that I can answer or something that's related, I'll go ahead and answer that. So thanks for watching.
Thanks for checking out this episode. And as always, if you like these videos, be sure to click on the subscribe button. And for full written content, audio content, and additional geek stuff, head over to geekoutdoors.com, and I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode.